So I wanted to give another example of how the domestic violence and so-called trafficking victims, the bogus nonprofits are re-trafficking, and basically, I'm not going to say re-trafficking, I'm going to say they're part of the human and sex trafficking network. You have Nanette Ward and Deb Hume, and she had Catherine Hart was another person that worked with her. They love bomb you, future fake you, make sure you get an apartment, pretend to help you get health care, and ultimately what they did with me was Ward had no idea about the healthcare fraud. She and Katie Huddleston Smith was on the board of Central Missouri Stop Human Trafficking Coalition, daughter of a former California trans doctor who helped people with trans surgery, to the best of my knowledge. But she wanted her career to be as a domestic violence and human trafficking. Now remember, this was years ago when human trafficking was a big buzzword and it was a new concept, and everybody was basically trying to profit off of it, including Josh Hawley, who had Nanette Ward to his office to make it look like he was battling human trafficking. That's all PR to hide the fact that they are ultimately the human trafficking cabal. So anyway, they love bomb you, future fake you, make a lot of token efforts, and Nanette Ward escorted me into many of those ER and regular doctor visits and witnessed the doctors threatening me. And then I went and got the medical records a couple weeks later, and I read them to Nanette Ward, and I'm recording the phone call with Nanette, or I'm sending her an email with a screenshot of the medical records, and I'm like, she's like, no, none of that happened. That's completely false. Did she do shit about it? Now, never mind. She used to work for the Department of Justice. She was a human rights investigator for the fucking Department of Justice. She used to say, I'm the only person who's been into every single bathroom, and she used to investigate the bathrooms at Chief Stadium and probably the other sports stadiums to make sure they were all the handicap accessible stuff was. But it doesn't matter. She was a fucking vet. She was also a human rights investigator for the Columbia Commission on Human Rights, which is a division of DOJ. And this lady is helping, is basic. I'm not going to say helping. I'm going to say she is a human trafficker, making her, she's basically going along with it. And the more she goes along and blackmail, she sat there and watched it. And then what she ultimately did was blackmail the doctors who both at Mizzou, Barnes Jewish, aka Boone Hospital Center, and Family Health Center of Boone County had the Medicaid director, Joseph Parks, on staff. He was a professor and psychiatrist at Mizzou. Family Health Center of Boone County was a Mizzou teaching facility. He was the chief psychiatrist there, and he was the director, the Missouri Medicaid or HealthNet director. That was under criminal investigation for fraud. He was appointed by then Democrat Governor Jay Nixon, who was a Clinton crony. Well, local news covered how one of his staffers went to work for Hillary Clinton. That doesn't mean this is all Democrat. Josh Hawley covered for all of them. You MAGA better get ready, because you're about to find out there aren't two, and that goes blue MAGA and red MAGA, because you blue MAGA keep going, look, Trump, look, the Democrats are better. Trump was a Democrat for years. He pulled the Clintons out of the Lewinsky impeachment ashes. Go look at his fucking donation history. Fuck, there's a news article where he had a 2013 fundraiser for Cory Booker. So, Josh Hawley gave me my first federal whistleblower ID number, then threatened me because I was blowing the whistle on Democrats, and then he threatens me on their behalf. Tells me not to contact his office again, knowing damn well I'm mandated by law to report the DEA drug diversion and systemic frauds on public benefits in my name. Like that office was an extension of his fucking Mizzou frat house. Like it wasn't a public office at all. You can't make this shit up. So I'm going to post a picture in my community tab of me with Nanette Ward and author Laura McHugh, who was married to a Mizzou doctor. Laura McHugh, we took that picture at Jefferson City Library, where she was promoting her book, The Weight of Blood, which is openly. Go read her breakdown on Amazon. She is openly admitting to stealing a trafficking victim's story. A trafficking victim who Nanette Ward helped to silence. How did they do that? That trafficking victim, who was held in a dog cage for days, had her privates sewn shut. Nanette Ward worked with Mizzou, a.k.a. Jay Nixon, Josh Hawley, Chris Koster, called her crazy, put her on SSI, I think they gave her a house with a white picket fence, and then Laura McHugh stole her story and became a bestseller. So these domestic violence and trafficking, so-called trafficking organizations, that when you call RAIN or the Human Trafficking Victims Hotline or any other hotline, they're not there to help you. They're there to funnel you, blow smoke up your ass, let you think you're being helped, and then continue the trafficking by taking your story, calling you crazy, giving you an SSI check. And when you're pregnant and you got a kid, you'll take anything because you're on the streets starving. You may have even been they may have even gotten you addicted to their drugs because they're the drug trafficking ring too, whether it's through big pharma shit or whether it's the illicit street drugs that they've been flying in since Iran-Contras. They just take the human, what turned out as sex trafficking, violent, brutal, open, notorious sex trafficking, then becomes human trafficking where they're stealing your intellectual property, stealing your story, and let the wife of some fraud doctor who made sure you got SSI through bogus falsified medical records. His wife goes and then she's touring like she's a best-selling author. And go read, when you read it, matter of fact, Ward took me to some stupid fundraiser that was basically another human trafficking pimp operation in Sedalia, Missouri. And Teresa Flores, who wrote a book called The Slave Next Door, she mentioned Laura McHugh and the book, and how basically said, oh yeah, she got it from this victim who did. And Teresa says, did she give that victim any money? She stole her story. And Nanette Ward was like, yeah. So Nanette Ward is there to help Epstein's criminal organization, which it isn't really Epstein. He's not the head of the snake. I get that. I get that Epstein and Diddy aren't the head of the snake. But that's the names everybody's familiar with. That's why I keep dropping those names. I know that he's just another snitch. He's just another Bill Kinnear. And he was smart enough and not so, Bill Kinnear's too stupid They're not going to give him a lot of money because he'll be too stupid. Jeffrey Epstein, as poorly as he behaved, was still a little better behaved than Bill Kinnear. So they, gave him access to the rich and famous. Or Trey Parker or whoever. Name your snitch that I'm recording here. And that's what these police officers and doctors and social workers are hoping to be. They're doing the same shit that Epstein and Maxwell and Diddy were doing. They're just doing it in a different way. And the more they do it, that's how they make their bones. And eventually they end up like Chris Koster, who was the Missouri Attorney General, who certainly had a limited salary. He's now the senior vice president of Centene Corporation, which is a global monopoly. Katie Huddleston Smith, she threw me under the bus. She went from being an unpaid advocate at the bogus True North. Not only was Nanette Ward part of it, so was the local Columbia, Missouri domestic violence organization, True North, but so was Dr. I can't think of her name. Barbara Bauer. I still have the phone that has all the texts between she and I. Not once does she ever say that I was a crazy conspiracy theorist. She didn't start doing that till later. Then I recorded all of those encounters. So, you stupid fuckers who are watching this, all Epstein's partners in crime who are watching this, you're sunk. It's a wrap. It doesn't matter how you spin this. All those recordings you can kill me now. Those recordings of Dr. Barbara Bauer telling me what they were doing, me telling her about Beth Sweeney coming on to me and trying to have sex with me and her saying, oh yeah, of course they're trying to kill you. Oh, and let's not forget the recordings of, what was she? She was a guardian ad litem and an administrative hearing judge, Ruth O'Neill, basically saying, yeah, they're trying to kill you. It's whistleblower retaliation. Not only for blowing the whistle on the falsified records and fraud, but all the sexual misconduct by what I now know to be sexual misconduct by Christy Jacoby and Beth Sweeney, who came on to me. They're raping their own goddamn clients. They're like lower forms of Ghislaine Maxwell. So the sexual abuse doesn't stop at men, and it certainly doesn't stop at the rich and famous. It starts at the top and then everybody at the bottom. I mean, Beth Sweeney, I was just one of many patients that Beth Sweeney and other people, other doctors, female and male, at those clinics were involved in. They were taking advantage, and a lot of these local cops here are exploiting homeless women for sex. From security guards to beat cops to probably doctors and social workers, probably every aspect. And if they don't participate in the sex, they get no trespass from the park, they get ticketed for being on the sidewalk, whatever. And that's men too. Gay men, gay male prostitutes. So a lot of you cops are about to be outed as closeted queers who are threatening gay male, because you got all the intel. You know who's doing sex work for drugs. You know who's giving blowjobs for a hit of crack, whatever. So then you go in and say, suck my dick, male or female. And guess what? They've been recording. They told me this years ago. I didn't let you know that. And I said, make sure you steal. I said, Can you save up enough money to get a phone? Can you get a free phone for me? She says, I'll steal a phone. I said, have everybody steal phones, get phones from the free clinics, whatever. Don't get no service so they don't know you have it. All you need on that phone is the fucking recording app. And it's unlimited, so you don't have to worry about tapes. And she knows how to save shit to SD cards. I made sure they have the little, I don't know if you want to call them dongles, but the thing you plug into your phone so you can save stuff from your phone either onto a flash drive, a micro SD card, or an SD card. That way, if they're hassled by police, they don't have their recordings on. The police don't know they have them. So y'all are going down. It's been recorded. And I told them to lure you all into areas where they knew there was plenty of video, security video cameras. I said, and don't forget about the security video on ATMs. So there's been an army of homeless people, men and women, who have been who know who you fuckers are. Cops, Chittenden Outreach, private security, the dude that works at City Hall, Burlington City Hall, the one I just posted with the ball cap and the blue shirt. They knew you were going to approach them, and they lured you into an area, and they made sure they had plenty of time to start recording. So you got recorded twice on their devices and the security. And plus, a lot of them are snitches for Cousy. Your boy Bill Kinnear, he thinks he's turning people into snitches for him. No. Most of those people are Cousy undercovers. Men and women. Cousy follows him, see who he's working with, then they go and convert those people into their agents to roll on him. You're cooked. What you guys need to decide now is how hard are you going down? How much of an ass are you? How much easier are you going to make it for Cousy and Hochul special prosecutors? You done shut down Congress to make sure the files don't come out. They're giving you all the rope you need to Epstein yourselves. And you're doing it. You're doing it. So basically, I digressed there. Basically, yeah, all these homeless services, victim services, trafficking victim hotlines, that is all a way to capture, make sure that the trafficking victims stay trafficking victims. They're just appeased and then re-exploited in the healthcare fraud, the homeless industrial, whatever, to make it look like the trafficking and domestic violence organizations are actually helping people. Katie Holston Smith, she started out as a volunteer. Once she blackmailed them on me, all of a sudden she's a paid domestic violence victim tampering investigator for Columbia PD, and then she gets hired and paid. She resume perks. They're working their way up to the higher part of the organization. Same Kennedyisms, the same things the Kennedys did. The Kennedys were shaking down the mob who helped get them elected, and the mob made an example out of them. The point of them assassinating, I mean, he was an addict. They could have just they could have just deliberately overdosed Kennedy right there and let it just look like he killed himself. The reason why they assassinated the Kennedys the way they did was to make an example of them for the next motherfucker they got elected. Because a lot of these people running for president really think that once they are president, they've got all the power and they're untouchable because they'll have the Secret Service behind them.